Good evening. Did that work? Yep. All right. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Revenue Review Committee. And so Monday, September 12th, 2022, we'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. If the, Vicki, if you call roll, please.
Here. Here.
Just keep throwing that.
Here.
Here.
Isaac Crispin,
Here.
Lisa Farkas,
Here.
Paul Nelson,
Here.
and Joan Farrell.
Here.
Well, it looks like we have a quorum, and first off, thank you for everyone agreeing to participate on this Revenue Review Committee. I'm Justin Howalt. I'm the city manager for the city of Clovis, and I recognize most of the faces in the audience and in the room this evening, but for those of you that don't know each other, I figured to start this off with, we'd just go ahead and go around the room and introduce ourselves, and maybe give a background on maybe what you do, what district you're representing, and we'll go from there. So once again, I'm Justin Howalt. I'm the city manager with the city of Clovis. And Leanne?
Leanne Melanson, Finance Director.
Vicki Reyes, Assistant City Clerk.
Paul Nelson, I'm the IT director at La Casa Family Health Center and retired December of last year from the city of Clovis with almost 23 years, starting as a dispatcher and then retiring as IT director. District 3.
I'm Megan Paula. I'm a CPA and a City Commissioner, District 4.
George Jones, retired military, and worked back out the base again, and commissioner for District 1.
My name is Lisa Farkas. I am a lifetime resident of Clovis. Been a business owner my whole life, I think. I was raised in the car business. Did that for a long time, and property manager for the last 22 years, and managed my family's estate for the last 22 years. And I manage a company with my husband. We're insurance claims adjusters as well, and so we've got a lot of things going on. I'm ashamed to say I think I'm in District 2, but I'm not completely sure. I go and vote, and whoever's on there, I like it, I'll vote, but I think it's District 2.
Yes, you are.
I'm Joan Farrell, and I'm with District 4. I've worked for Triangle Home Center for over 45 years. I still work for the two brothers that owned it, and I have my own business as with some small accounting accounts.
David Bryant, City Commissioner, District 3, retired, worked with Joan for a lot of those 40-some years, and was purchasing agent for City of Clovis.
Gene Porter, I am Commissioner for District 2. I own a small glass shop called Glass Doctor, and I also am a salesman for the Bender family of dealerships, lifelong resident. Military brought me here through my father, and that's about a wrap for me.
Isaac Crispin, District 1 citizen. I've been interested in public service and specifically local government since before I got in. I did a summer internship in a town during my undergraduate, majored political science economics. I just finished a master's in public administration. I just like doing this.
Well, thank you. And once again, thank you all so much for putting your names in the hat and willing to serve on the Revenue Review Committee. The Revenue Review Committee is a committee, and hopefully everybody received what it is and has that handout, but it's a committee that is convened in every even-numbered year, and they're made up of 4 representatives from our city commission and then a representative from each citizen from each one of the districts. Looking at their powers and duties, you know, A through D there, it lists quite a few things that this committee could look at. Traditionally, in my experience with the city of Clovis dating back to 2009, the Revenue Review Committee has really just focused on item number C there, which is to review and evaluate the fee structure for all rates and fees charged by the city for recommendations on proposed changes to meet future costs and needs. And so what we do in working with each one of our departments as administration is we once we start getting into these even-numbered years, start requesting them to start reviewing what fees that they do have in place and whether or not those fees are still adequately at a rate in which they're supposed to serve their purposes. And so once they've done that, the departments then, in discussions with us, will provide their proposals to city administration to be submitted to this Revenue Review Committee. And so you do have a packet this evening that we'll take a look at a little bit later on, but that is what we will be reviewing as part of this process. And so just really kind of want to let you know that, yes, it does speak broader in the powers and duties, but that is traditionally we focus on that item number C. This committee is also, we don't have a set number of meetings that we have to meet. We don't have set days, so there is some flexibility on that. This committee could we could have this meeting this evening. We'll hand out the proposals, have the next meeting, and you may decide that, hey, everything's fantastic. The departments will give their presentations, and we fully support that and agree with that, and be done in 2 meetings. There has been other instances where the Revenue Review Committee has lasted well into December, January time period. And so it's really at the will of this committee on how long these activities last and take place. So with that little spiel, we'll get right into the agenda. And with the item number 4 on the agenda is the election of a chairperson from the city commissioners. So with that, I will open up the floor for nominations for a chairperson.
I'd like to recommend Commissioner Paula.
I'll nominate Commissioner Jones.
Okay.
So Commissioner Paula, are you declining the nomination?
Yes, because as soon as I sat down, I told Commissioner Jones I thought he'd do a great job, so.
Pushed me over there, that's what she said.
Would you accept the nomination?
Yes, I'll accept it.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to name Commissioner Jones as chair of this committee. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That
Opposed?
wasn't fast enough.
Hearing none opposed, Commissioner Jones, congratulations, and welcome to item number 5 on the
All
agenda.
I believe that's to you, Leanne.
Thank you, Chairman. So, just brief overview. I'm not going to do the whole entire budget thing. In front of you, you have the recap of our 2023 municipal budget. As we go through this, the main area that we're looking at is the 3rd column over, which are your revenue, services, and charges. As you can see, in general fund, there's about 2.7 million in revenue in our charges. 2 million of that is our ambulance revenue, so about 704 in other fees that we charge. Obviously, sanitation, Fund 2, Fund 10, wastewater, the Fund 62 Civic Center, and Fund 19, our golf course, and the Airport Fund 12 are all areas where the majority of our fees come from as we move forward in looking at this. Fund 63, the majority of our fees that we do have, if they are specific to a project or a department, they are allowed, if it's in the approval as we go through, to keep part of that money in Fund 63, which is designated. That money stays with that department. So, for example, anything for the zoo, the admission fees, sale of an animal, the gift shop, all of that stays in that designated fund so that as they're making improvements, they can use that as opposed to having to rely on our general fund. So that's that number. So as we go forward, we would always ask that you consider any revenue increases be specific to that department. On the 3rd page, the totals. So as you can see on our taxes, which is gross receipts, franchise, motor vehicle taxes, the general fund, 87% of our revenue for general fund is from taxes. 42% of our revenue overall is from our taxes. So we do heavily rely on those taxes. And then, just so you can see about on the page that says transfer summary, that just gives you an idea of the funds and the departments that general fund does support. The next page, our city manager's favorite, he loves a good graph. So this just gives you our gross receipts, fiscal year activity in lovely color graph form. So you can kind of see we are fortunate, we are still increasing, and this is something that we watch every month. And then the last two pages are just, if you prefer numbers instead of graphs, gives you all of the gross receipts that we have collected for back to the 2019 fiscal year by the designated areas that our gross receipts are used in. And with that, I will be happy to answer any questions. Or allow Mr. Howald to add too.
Yeah, and Mr. Chairman, the only other thing I would add is that, so as Leanne was talking about, like our Fund 2, our sanitation, or our Fund 10 wastewater, we did increase, and I'm sure everybody's well aware, we did increase fees for sewer and garbage collection, and that was done over a 2-year period, dating back to the last Revenue Review Committee, so they increased 5% one year and then 5% the following year. So we feel like we're in good position with those particular funds at this time. The golf course, the City Commission just recently approved rate increases for our greens fees and charges that we have out at the golf course. So our management company for that facility feels like that with those proposed increases, we'll be in a good position as well. We've also been working with our Civil Aviation Board in regards to our airport and the fees that we charge at that particular facility. And so Mr. Harris, our airport director, for example, just recently introduced an advertising fee for us to be able to accept advertising and put on our TV monitors that we have in our terminal facilities as well as in our FBO out there. So while the recommendations may be minimal per se, it is still something that we do work with our various boards and committees that we have established throughout the city to look at our fees on an as-needed basis. The Revenue Review Committee, once again, is just a committee that is, by ordinance, we're required to convene every 2 years. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Howald. Anybody have any questions?
I have one question. In the packet here that you gave us, has every department given a revenue recommendation? No.
This
Yeah,
packet? Yeah, and so these are the president or the recommendations by the departments that wanted to raise their fees.
Okay, everyone else is content with the way it is now?
That is correct.
Okay.
And well, with a caveat. And so you will have some Parks and Rec recommendations that you'll have in your packet. We are also looking at the user fees for our leagues that utilize our facilities. However, because of the complexity of what those are and the knowledge of our Parks and Rec Committee in dealing with our leagues on a more regular basis as well as our user agreements, we felt it better to work those proposed user fees through that committee versus through this committee, just because it may take a longer process, and when we get into the weeds on roles and responsibilities of the city of Clovis versus whatever organization we're working with, we just felt that was a better place for that. So all the departments with that one caveat, because Parks and Rec does have some other recommendations in here.
Any other questions? All right, so now we have the presentation and discussion regarding revenue recommendations.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And this initial meeting, obviously, this is the first time you've probably had the opportunity to see this information. And so we did have 5 departments request some recommendations on their fee structures. That was the Finance Department in relation to notary fees, our Fire Department in relation to ambulance transfers between a fixed wing transfer and the hospital itself. Library Department had some recommendations regarding rental space as well as their collections on late fees. And then the Municipal Court in regards to traffic fines. And then finally, the Parks and Recreation Department had several different ones regarding shelters or charges at the zoo or what we rent out tree spades for, et cetera. So really this evening, what I wanted to do is get this information in front of you, have the kickoff of this, establish who our chairperson is, give you the opportunity now to go back and obviously review this at home at your own leisure. And then at the next meeting, what will occur is each one of the departments, these 5 departments, will come in and give you a presentation on what their proposals are. And then you can ask more questions in relation to what they've proposed once you've had a chance to digest what is in front of you this evening. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have about the packet, but that's our intent, is to reconvene at another date and time to go over the presentations.
All right, so that leads us into setting up our next meeting. How much time would everybody like to review the packet as well as the numbers, the spreadsheet? 2 weeks? Seems reasonable to me.
And does Monday nights
Monday
work at this
Monday night
time
works
for everyone?
At 5:30? Okay.
So September 26th?
Okay.
It'll be AM in the morning and that's it.
Okay. So September 26th at 5:30?
Yes.
That work for everybody?
Yes, sir.
I don't think it'll work for me. I'll be gone the last week of this month and all of October. I had a training come down.
Are you able to Google Meet in, or
I'll try, yeah, absolutely.
we can certainly make arrangements
Okay.
to accommodate that as well if that does work
Yeah,
for
that,
you? and
that
works-
Monday is just a travel day for me. Yep.
Okay. All right, so we will leave it at 5:30 on September 26th.
Okay.
Any other comments? Well, once again, I'd like to thank everybody for stepping up and volunteering and coming forward for this. And hopefully we will make this very short and brief versus the long December. But we are adjourned.